Hello guys, my name's Karnage, and welcome to another episode of Boom Beach. Today, we'll be talking defense. So, there's a few things that I'm going to be covering. The purpose of buildings, prototype weapons, layouts, some various tips on defending some strategies like hookah, tanks, RZM, stuff like that. We'll be going through the purpose of mines as well, what they're good against, how to use them, stuff like that. So, we'll jump straight into it. Hopefully this doesn't get too lengthy. You can see 8 buildings on the top here. All these ones. There's 2 different types of buildings. There's ones that are built for high damage, and there's other ones for splash damage. High damage buildings like these 3, your boom cannon, your regular cannon, your sniper, they're built to take down units with lots of health that don't have many numbers, which these type of units would include heavies, tanks, scorchers, stuff like that. Your splash damage buildings like these ones up here, they're built for larger numbers, stuff with not a lot of health. These type of units would include riflemen, zookers, warriors, maybe grenadiers. I mean, grenadiers are in that sort of middle category where only a few things can hit them, like a sniper, a boom cannon, a mortar, and a rocket. To look at the stats of a building, you press on the eye. You see damage per second here. That's not what it does. That's like a made up figure. If you times that damage per second by times per shot, you get the actual amount of damage it does, which is damage per shot. Up the top here, mine's maxed out, it does 376. When you're doing layouts, you obviously need to build that layout with one combo in mind, what you're defending against. Now, stuff like tanks, your prized possessions are your boom cannon and your normal cannon. They do large amounts of damage. You'll see my stats are 4,400 per shot, and it does 4 seconds between shots. My regular cannon, take a brief look, about half, little more than half. And cannons are very underrated when it comes to defending tanks. Most people do not upgrade them straight away, and it's not until later on that they realize just how valuable they are. Now we'll look at the stats on the rocket, on the flamethrower. You can see this doesn't have a damage per shot, and that's because it burns constant. When it's in range, it doesn't stop burning. This extra damage over 5 seconds, that's additional damage on top of the damage per second that it's already doing. And unlike the other stats, the damage per second is actually what it does. Now when you're defending warriors or RZM, which is rifleman, zooka, medic, the main buildings that are going to be doing the most work, the ones that are going to be really valuable for you, are a flamethrower and a rocket. Obviously these 2 do work for you, but your prized possessions are your rocket and your flamethrower, and that's because they do the most damage. Now you'll notice I haven't talked about the shock launcher. That's because the shock launcher is good against everything, and its purpose isn't to kill units, it's to shock them so another building can get more shots in. Now, this is the brief example, but if you assume for a second that this shock launcher was a troop, just as an example, this is in range, we'll be shocking it, and while it's shocked, this boom cannon will get 1 shot in straight off the bat, but while this shock launcher shocks it, which mine does shocks for 3 seconds, my boom cannon will only need 1 more second before it can shoot again. This will mean it's going to get more shots in before it dies and gets blown up. That's the purpose of the buildings. Now let's get straight into layouts. There's all kinds of different layouts. There's back corner layouts like this. There's beachfront layouts, which look more like this. And then there's ones that are designed around the middle. There's ones that are designed to be the top middle, like this. You can see my HQs at the top middle. There's no real dead set, this is the best layout to go with. I mean, there are things that'll help you against various strategies. For example, my beach front layout, it doesn't take many smokes for warriors to get to this HQ. So this layout's obviously, no matter what I do, is always going to be bad against warriors. But because everything's so confined, it is actually very good against tanks. Now I have all my layouts pretty well set and made. Obviously my prototypes aren't really in the right spots at the moment, but this sort of gives you the idea. Now we'll talk hookah defense. This is actually a very ideal layout for hookah and tanks. The reason for this is if you look at the rockets, they're in the front. When hookah runs up to the front of a rocket, your hookahs are in the dead spot, and that means your rocket can fire at the zookas. Now sometimes the troops spread out a lot, and that won't necessarily play out like that, but it will scare a lot of people off. It's also ideal because in the early stages of the game, many people deploy their troops all at the same time. This will mean your rockets will get chances to fire and kill zookas straight off the bat before they even get to do anything. Now, whenever you build a layout, it doesn't matter what layout you're going to build for. The very first question you need to ask yourself is, what are you defending against? What are you building it to defend for? This is the normal layout that I use on a day-to-day basis. I built this for tanks. Now if you have a quick look at the range on my boom cannons, all these 4 boom cannons are in range to HQ. There is no position you can place like tanks where these boom cannons aren't going to go to work and destroy. You'll also note that the position of my shock launchers means regardless of angle of approach on each corner, these shock launchers are going to be assisting all these boom cannons. And I've also positioned the layout so if you attack from the corner here and come inwards, my layout is weaker, but you face every building. I also place my cannons around the side, just so the whole idea is that they weaken troops, get a few kills, and then when they get towards the middle, then they start getting destroyed. Now we'll talk warriors. Warriors is the sort of thing you really want to lay out towards the top, whether it's top middle or the top corner sort of layout. You need to be doing a layout like that, and the reason for that is your buildings scatter over so much that it requires more smokes to get to the HQ. A rocket or something like this at the front means that they have to smoke early. Some people will elect to put a flamethrower like here-ish, which means they've got no choice but to do that. Another thing I want to quickly go over is what's in the back of the HQ. Some people, when they defend warriors, will put a shock launcher here, and I disagree with that personally. It doesn't get any extra kills, doesn't really take too much more time, maybe one extra shot. Still, the HQ, even with a shield generator, at the higher levels still goes down just as quickly. Now, I choose to put flamethrowers there because, as I said before, flamethrowers are so vital to defending against warriors. They do so much damage per second that if you put it in the back where they can't be shocked, that's so much of a chance and so much of an advantage for you to get those kills in and make life harder for them. Now, we'll go over RZM. RZM, because there's so many troops but so little health, you want all your splash damage buildings to be getting a shot at working. This layout's actually not very good against RZM. I mean, you take out the rockets here, there's not a great deal that'll destroy them. And this is where prototypes come into effect. There's 4 different prototypes. There's a shock blaster, a laser beam, damage amplifier, a doom cannon, and a shield generator. My bad, that makes 5, but each one plays its own part. Shield generators, they're good for smoky hookah and warriors. Doom cannons, they're good against tanks, heavies. Damage amplifiers, they're good for bases without much ice, because if you put a sniper and or a cannon in that range, or both, it turns them into faster shooting defenses. Like, it turns a sniper into a fast shooting cannon, it turns a cannon into a fast shooting boom cannon, it turns a boom cannon into a normal doom cannon, which is the prototype. I don't put boom cannons or rockets in mine. I only put cannons and snipers. Laser beams, very good for smoky hookah or RZM, but very restricted against other sort of units, other sort of combos. Shock blasters, they're good against everything. Very good against RZM though. If you put 2 of those on your base, you're basically guaranteed to have a really good attack against, like, RZM. You'll see all different sorts of combos with prototypes. Shock blasters and doom cannons, they're good against everything, sort of like a balanced sort of setup. Shield generators and shock blasters are a very good setup if you have a lot of ice on your base. Now, I want to go through a few little things about mines. You've got boom mines, you've got shock mines, and you have regular mines. Shock mines, people use them to defend against warriors. Can't stress this point enough, they do nothing against warriors. If you look at the shock duration, a max shock mine goes for 7 seconds. You look at the stats for a shock bomb. Here's mine. Lasts for 10 seconds. So, no matter what you do, I've used 3 mines. I've got 3 shocks, all in like one after another. I still didn't get even a single kill on a warrior. They did nothing. So, with that in mind, I use mine to actually defend against tanks. I place mine like, you see this one. These boom cannons will now get an extra shot in, because just like the shock launcher's purpose, it's going to shock those troops, allow for some extra shots. And boom mines, like the boom cannon in portable form, they do a large amount of damage. So, like the boom cannon, it's good against heavies, tanks, scorchers. For the most ideal mine placement, I recommend watching your defenses. Look at the walking paths that the troops are going through. Place your mines there. With normal mines, you'll see warrior users a lot. Never put like 2 mines 1 square apart like this, because one artillery shot can take both of them out. Now, I recommend, if you look at these 4 mines, even with a barrage, that's probably not going to take out all 4. And even if you use a barrage anywhere in this long path along the front here, you've still got a lot of mines spread out, and it's still going to take another barrage or a second or third barrage just to clear that entire thing. So I recommend having it spread out so they can't wipe out everything with like a critter box and a barrage. That pretty much covers mines. There was one thing I wanted to say about shock bombs, because a lot of people have this problem. They don't know the range of the shock bomb, like how much you can shock with one bomb. If I shock the middle of this cannon, all 3 of these buildings are going to be shocked. If I place one square away, another one, so one side has 2 square gap, the other one has 1 square gap, this can still be shocked. Some people won't be able to position it perfect to get that shock, but it still can be shocked. You want it to be impossible to shock all 3? Place a 2 square gap between each one. No matter what they do now, these 3 buildings cannot be shocked at the same time with the one bomb. This pretty much covers everything here, guys. I did actually want to go over Hammerman layouts, so I'll quickly cover that. Hammerman, I recommend using a damage amplifier if you don't have ice. Shield generators, as you can see here, I don't have any ice, it does nothing for you. But the one thing you always want to do is have rockets so they have range on the beach. Now, the reason why I say this is because when he drops like warriors or Zookas or riflemen, straight off the bat, you want to get them just shredded. You want to have them all taken out before they can do any real damage to your buildings. I recommend having a layout like this where everyone can get destroyed. This is only one of my Hammerman layouts. I positioned it here so if not many troops drop on the left, my shock blaster and my rockets and stuff like that will kill them, and then my shock blaster can get free damage on all the remaining troops as they go up, work their way up to here. I find that's worked very well for me in the past, but that's just me. So one extra little thing I forgot to mention a moment ago. Smoky hookah. This is a problem in the higher VP strategies. Higher VP levels. Shield generators, not a sure thing. If they only have one boat of heavies to deal with mines and stuff like that, still a problem. If you look at my layout, you'll see my rockets actually positioned to destroy something that's here, which is where the Zookas are going to be placed. I've placed mortars, machine guns at the back here, so they need to shock that. I've got stuff working here to hurt them there, and I've positioned everything in such a way that it's going to be a real problem for them if they use it. I've got some good mine setups. That's just a few little tips. Also a little tip about warriors. They use critters about here and here on a layout like this. When you see where they're using critters, if you want to defend better against a warrior attack, position your rocket so that the dead spot of the rocket is where most of the critters are going to be. So you'll guarantee that your rocket is going to go straight after the warriors. So this has been an episode of Defense. Covered everything I could think of. If you guys have any questions, put it in the comments below. If you liked this video and got this far, smack the thumbs up button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.